Corporal Jace Renner straightened his dress uniform as the transport docked with Valerian Station. 3 years of military service had prepared him for combat, not babysitting diplomats, but escort duty paid better than patrol runs. Remember, Corporal, Ambassador Whitmore adjusted his metal-heavy jacket, this is purely ceremonial. The Tricast Alliance has been our allies for decades. Just smile, look official, and don't touch anything. The airlock hissed open, revealing a delegation of 3 alien women waiting in the crystalline corridor. Jace's breath caught. He'd seen aliens before, but never up close like this. The first stood rigid as a statue, her pale purple skin seeming to glow under the station's lights. Dark curls framed sharp features that could have been carved from marble. Her black uniform bore intricate silver threading that screamed military precision. "I am Commander Kestra of the Strategic Caste," she announced, her voice crisp as winter air. "Welcome to our station." The second alien prowled rather than walked, her movements fluid and predatory. Same purple skin, but hers bore faint scale patterns that caught the light. Wild dark hair fell in waves past her shoulders, and her amber eyes tracked Jace's every movement like a hunter sizing up prey. "Vex, Huntress Prime," she purred, circling the humans slowly. "Interesting specimens." The third approached with gentle curiosity, her softer features more welcoming. Her dark hair was braided with small bells that chimed softly as she moved. Unlike the others, her eyes held warmth instead of calculation or hunger. "I'm Scholar Mira of the Empathic Caste," she said, tilting her head as she studied Jace. "Your emotional resonance is fascinating." Ambassador Whitmore launched into diplomatic pleasantries while Jace stood at attention. When each alien offered him a crystalline pendant, symbols of respect, they said, he accepted them without thinking. Military training, when in doubt, follow the local customs. The moment the third pendant touched his palm, every alien in the corridor went dead silent. "Oh no," Whitmore whispered. Kestra's eyes widened. "The Trinity binding. He's accepted the ceremonial tokens. The what now?" Jace looked between the glowing pendants and the suddenly very interested alien women. Myra's bells chimed as she clasped her hands together. "According to the Interstellar Marriage Compact of 2387, you've just proposed to all 3 of us. And we've all accepted," Vex added with a predatory grin. Jace felt the blood drain from his face. "I'm sorry, what?" Jace stared at the opulent diplomatic quarters that were now apparently his home. 3 sets of belongings had already been moved in, military precision from Kestra, organized chaos from Vex, and carefully arranged curiosities from Mira. "This cannot be legal," he muttered, pacing between unpacked crates. "Oh, but it is," Kestra said, appearing in the doorway with a data pad. "I've reviewed the treaty 17 times. The binding is ironclad." She stepped closer, her movements controlled and graceful. "However, we must establish proper household protocols. As senior military rank, I should naturally take charge of." "Take charge?" Vex dropped from the ceiling vent, landing silently behind Jace. Her arms wrapped around his waist, pulling him against her warm body. "The mate belongs to whoever can hold him." Her breath was hot against his ear. "Can you hold him, Commander?" Jace's heart hammered as Vex's claws traced gentle patterns on his chest through his shirt. "Ladies, please, You're both approaching this wrong," Mira interrupted, entering with a steaming cup. Her gentle presence somehow made the tension worse, not better. Humans bond through emotional connection, not dominance displays. She offered Jace the cup, her fingers brushing his. "I've prepared tea with calming properties. Your stress levels are quite elevated." Kestra's jaw tightened. "Emotional manipulation is hardly." "It's not manipulation," Mira said softly, stepping closer to Jace's other side. "It's care. Something your caste seems to have forgotten." Her hand found his free one, intertwining their fingers. "Tell me, Jace, what do human males need to feel secure in a new environment?" Trapped between 3 beautiful alien women, each radiating a different kind of intensity. Jace's brain short-circuited. Vex's wild scent filled his nostrils, Myra's gentle touch sent sparks up his arm, and Kestra's sharp intelligence was somehow incredibly attractive despite her cold demeanor. I need. He started, then stopped. What did he need? Space. Time. To understand what the hell just happened to my life. Reasonable, Kestra nodded, stepping back. We should establish boundaries and expectations. Vex growled low. Humans are pack animals. He needs to know his place in our hierarchy. He needs emotional safety first, Mira insisted, squeezing his hand. Jace watched them argue and realized with growing dread that this wasn't going away. These three extraordinary women were now legally his wives, and he had no idea how to be a husband to one woman, let alone three from different alien cultures. The teacup slipped from his trembling fingers, shattering on the floor. 3 days into his new life, Jace discovered that alien courtship rituals were far more intense than human dating. Kestra had commandeered the main table, spreading out holographic battle simulations. Strategic thinking is the foundation of any successful partnership, she explained, her fingers dancing over the controls. If we can synchronize our tactical approaches, we can build true unity. Jace found himself oddly charmed by her intensity as she guided his hands over the holo controls, her body pressed against his back. Her skin was warm despite her cool demeanor, and when she leaned close to whisper strategy in his ear, he caught a hint of something floral in her scent. Your pattern recognition is better than I expected, she murmured, and her rare smile made his pulse quicken. Vex had different ideas. She'd dragged him to the biodome where artificial jungle provided hunting grounds for station recreation. My people court through the hunt, she explained, pressing a stun weapon into his hands. We must see if you can keep up. She moved like liquid shadow through the undergrowth, and Jace found himself captivated by her primal grace. When she tackled him behind a cluster of phosphorescent ferns, pinning him to the soft ground, her eyes blazed with something beyond hunting instinct. You fight well for prey, she breathed, her face inches from his. Her claws traced his jawline gently, and when she kissed him, it was fierce and demanding, tasting of wild things and danger. Myra's approach was entirely different. She'd created a meditation space in their quarters, filled with soft cushions and crystal formations that hummed with harmonic frequencies. My people believe true bonding comes from sharing consciousness, she explained, settling beside him cross-legged. Her bells chimed softly as she placed her palms against his temples. May I show you? The mental connection hit like warm honey flowing through his thoughts. Suddenly he could feel her emotions, her genuine care, her fascination with his human responses, her growing affection. Through the link, she experienced his confusion, his fear, but also his slowly awakening appreciation for each of his wife's unique qualities. When she broke the connection, tears sparkled in her eyes. You have such beautiful chaos in your mind, she whispered, cupping his face. Her kiss was gentle but thorough, full of understanding and promise. That night, as Jace lay in the quarter's central bed, large enough for 4, apparently standard in tri-caste marriages, he realized something had shifted. The panic was fading, replaced by genuine curiosity about these remarkable women who'd been thrust into his life as suddenly as he'd been thrust into theirs. Each had shown him something precious, Kestra's hidden warmth beneath military precision, Vex's protective instincts behind predatory nature, and Myra's deep wisdom wrapped in gentleness. Maybe this impossible situation could actually work. The unity ceremony cannot be delayed longer, announced Elder Thane via hologram. The ancient alien's image flickered in their quarters as Jace tried not to fidget. Galactic law requires the bonding ritual within 7 days of the Trinity binding. Kestra stood at attention. What exactly does this ceremony involve? The 3 wives must demonstrate perfect cooperation while the husband shows equal devotion to each. Only then will the marriage be legally sealed. The elder's eyes fixed on Jace. Failure results in annulment and significant diplomatic consequences. After the transmission ended, tension filled the room like a living thing. The three women had been managing their rivalry with careful politeness, but now they faced a test that required genuine cooperation. "We must approach this strategically," Kestra began, but Vex cut her off. "Your strategies got us nowhere. This requires instinct, trust." "Both approaches have merit," Mira interrupted gently, her bells chiming as she moved between them. "But we're missing the obvious solution." She looked at each of them in turn. "We all want this to succeed. We all care for Jace. We need to trust that." The ceremony space was private, lit by soft crystals that responded to emotional resonance. As the ritual began, the three women slowly let their guards down. Kestra's military precision guided their movements, while Vex's instincts kept them synchronized, and Myra's empathy ensured they remained connected. When it came time for Jace to demonstrate his bond with each wife, words weren't enough. With Kestra, he spoke in actions, supporting her leadership while showing that strategy meant nothing without trust. Their embrace was intense, passionate, her usual control melting into desperate need. With Vex, he matched her primal energy, letting her see that he wasn't prey to be conquered but an equal partner in the hunt. When she pressed him against the crystal wall, claiming his mouth hungrily, he gave as good as he got, earning her growl of approval. Mira required the deepest vulnerability. Opening his mind to her completely, he shared every fear, every hope, every growing feeling he had for all three of them. Their mental connection during their intimate joining was unlike anything he'd experienced, her consciousness wrapped around his like silk while their bodies moved together in perfect harmony. But the true test came when all four came together. Following ancient tradition, they formed a circle, each person connected to two others in an intricate weaving of touch and consciousness. Through Myra's abilities, they shared a four-way mental link that stripped away all pretense. Jace felt Kestra's fierce protectiveness, her fear of showing weakness balanced by her growing love. He experienced Vex's wild loyalty, her predatory nature tempered by genuine affection. He basked in Myra's vast empathy, her scholarly curiosity blooming into deep emotional connection. And they felt him, his confusion transformed into acceptance, his fear becoming excitement for their shared future. The crystals around them blazed with harmonious light as the ritual reached completion. For distinct individuals had become something greater, a bonded family unit, each unique but unified. Later, as they lay entwined on the large bed, Jace marveled at how right it felt. Kestra's head on his shoulder, Vex curled against his side, Myra's hand in his. It shouldn't work, but it did. "So," he murmured into the gentle darkness. "What happens now?" "Now," Kestra said softly, "we learn to be a family." 6 months after the ceremony that changed his life, Corporal Jace Renner, now lieutenant, thanks to his unique diplomatic position, stood on the observation deck watching ships dock at Valerian Station. His three wives approached from different directions, their individual rhythms now as familiar as his own heartbeat. "The Zentari delegation just arrived," Kestra reported, sliding into position beside him. Her formal tone couldn't hide the warmth in her eyes as she handed him a tactical briefing. "They're requesting mediation for their trade dispute." Vex dropped from the ceiling maintenance shaft, her favorite entrance, landing gracefully behind them. "Their security detail is nervous. I can smell their fear from here." She wrapped her arms around Jace's waist possessively. "Should I remind them you're under our protection?" Gently, Mira suggested, appearing with her usual quiet grace. She carried a data pad filled with psychological profiles. The Zentari respond better to displays of competence than intimidation. Her hand found his, their mental connection sparking with shared affection. Their relationship had evolved into something beautifully complex. Mornings belonged to Kestra, strategic planning over breakfast, stolen kisses between briefings. Afternoons were Vex's domain of physical training and passionate encounters that left them both breathless. Evenings were Myra's time for quiet conversations and gentle intimacy that strengthened their emotional bonds. But it was the moments like this, all four of them working together, that Jace treasured most. The Zentari situation could destabilize 3 trade routes, he mused, reviewing the data. We'll need your tactical analysis, Kestra, to map the economic implications. Vex, I want you to assess their military capabilities, diplomatically. And Mira, we'll need cultural profiles to avoid triggering any taboos. They moved as a unit toward the conference room, each playing to their strengths while supporting the others. The Zentari delegation watched in fascination as the unusual family seamlessly negotiated a resolution that satisfied all parties. Later that night, as they celebrated another successful mediation, Jace reflected on the strange twist of fate that had brought them together. He'd gone from a simple soldier following orders to a man with 3 extraordinary wives who challenged and supported him in ways he'd never imagined possible. "What are you thinking about?" Mira asked, her empathic senses picking up his contemplative mood. "That day on the docking platform," he said, pulling all 3 women closer. "I thought my life was over. And now?" Kestra prompted, her rare smile making an appearance. Jace looked at each of them, brilliant, fierce, gentle, impossible women who'd become his whole world. "Now I can't imagine any other life." Vex purred against his neck. "Good. Because you're stuck with us forever, mate." "Forever," he agreed, meaning every word. As the station's artificial night cycle dimmed the lights, the unlikely family settled into their shared bed, limbs intertwined, hearts beating in synchrony. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new opportunities to prove that love truly could conquer the vast distances between worlds. But tonight, they were simply home.